Imagining a world where powerful creatures with unique talents and personalities roam free and can be caught and kept in a red and white ball. Pokémon are kept in Pokeballs. You go out as a young trainer to explore this globe and catch as many Pokémon as can, visiting different regions with different environments and Pokémon. You'll face new and interesting Pokémon in lush woods, perilous mountains, and mysterious undersea countries. You can catch these creatures with your Pokeball and teach them to be stronger and braver to fight for you. You'll meet other trainers and their Pokémon and challenge them to battle as you explore. These battles challenge your trainer skills and show off your Pokémon's might. You must plan and use your Pokémon's moves and powers to overcome your opponents. You can also earn gym badges and other stuff to help you along the route. Friendly and helpful characters will provide you training tips. To become the greatest Pokémon trainer ever is your ultimate objective. To do this, visit the Pokémon League, where the best trainers from each area compete in the ultimate test. You must fight each gym leader, gaining their badges, before facing the Elite Four and Pokémon Champion. Only then can you declare yourself the greatest Pokémon trainer ever. Prepare for an exciting journey through time with us as we explore the origins of Pokémon. Let's go back in time to the early 1980s. There was a boy named Satoshi Tajirwhen who lived in a place called Setagaya, Tokyo. When Satoshi was young, he liked to catch bugs and keep them as a hobby. Even worse, his friends called him Dr. Bug. As Satoshi grew up in the busy city of Tokyo, he noticed that the places where he used to hunt for bugs were getting smaller as streets and buildings took over more and more land. But Satoshi didn't want to lose the feeling of catching and gathering creatures, and he dreamed of a way to give other kids the same joy. As Satoshi grew up, he became very interested in arcade games and spent a lot of time playing them. He liked games like Space Invaders and Dig Dug so much that they made him want to make his own. Satoshi took apart his video game system to figure out how it worked. When he was 16, he even won a contest for video game ideas. Satoshi's parents thought he was a problem because he spent so much time playing video games, but that didn't stop him from loving them. He skipped school to play games. He went to makeup classes and finally got his high school diploma to make up for it. Satoshi didn't go to college. Instead, he spent 2 years at the Tokyo National College of Technology getting a technical degree in electronics and computer science. When Satoshi got a little bigger, he made a magazine called Game Freak that he wrote by hand and stapled together. Game Freak was a magazine that told people how to beat games and find their hidden secrets. An Easter egg is a secret that is hidden in a game. It got so famous that one issue sold more than 10,000 copies. The pictures in the magazine were drawn by Satoshi's friend Ken Sugimori, who is called an artist. As they worked on this magazine, the two of them came to understand that most video games weren't very good. So, they chose to make their own instead. Tajiri studied and practiced a lot to learn how to make games. In 1989, Tajiri and his friend Sugimori started their own video game company called Game Freak. Their first game, Kinty, was a big hit, and they never looked back. Satoshi Tajiri and his friend Ken Sugimori had been making games for different consoles for a while. They chose to tell Nintendo about their idea for a game about collecting monsters. It was a good idea, but it wasn't easy to get Nintendo to try something so different. Shigeru Miyamoto gave Game Freak the go-ahead to make the game with his help and guidance because of how well they had done in the past. After 6 years of long hours and hard work, the first Pokémon computer games, Pocket Monsters, Red and Green, were released. Over 150 different Pokémon could be caught, collected, and traded in these games. It was a big hit right away in Japan, and soon it was being played all over the world. What is Pokémon, then? In the world of Pokémon, people who catch and train Pokémon creatures are called Pokémon trainers. Pokémon are made-up animals that have their own powers and traits. The trainers then fight each other with their Pokémon to see who has the best Pokémon. In the games and cartoons, a young trainer named Ash Ketchum tries to become a Pokémon master. In Japan, the main character's name is Satoshi instead of Ash. If you remember, Satoshi made Pokémon, so when Ash was young, he was meant to be Satoshi. He goes to different places and catches and trains new Pokémon. Along the way, he makes friends and rivals and takes part in many competitions and fights. When the first Pokémon games came out in Japan, they were a big hit right away. In the games, players take on the part of a Pokémon trainer. They start with one Pokémon and move around the game world to catch and train more. There are now more than 800 species of Pokémon, each with its own skills, strengths, and weaknesses. That's a lot of Pokémon to catch. The idea of catching and training animals was completely new, and the game gave players a sense of discovery and excitement they had never felt before. The games became very famous very quickly, and as Pokémon's popularity grew, it spread to TV shows, movies, and card games. Kids everywhere were crazy about the Pokémon world, and it was no longer just a game. It became so famous and well known that almost everyone knows about it, and it had a big effect on things like movies, TV shows, toys, and games. The TV show followed Ash Ketchum, a young trainer from Pallet Town, and his faithful Pikachu as they traveled to different areas, met new Pokémon, and fought other trainers. Because of how well the TV show did, sales of Pokémon toys, trade cards, and other items went through the roof. One of the main reasons Pokémon was so popular was that the games were made to be played with friends. The trading and battle parts of the games made it easy for people to connect with each other and fight with each other. Over the years, the Pokémon franchise has grown and changed, and Satoshi and Ken's vision for Pokémon has inspired a group of young people to explore their world, make new friends, and be creative. Today, Pokémon still changes and grows, giving fans of all ages new activities and exciting things to do. So, the Pokémon story goes on, and there are new games, new creatures, and new adventures just around the corner. We all have both strong and weak points, just like Pokémon. It's important to remember that everyone is unique because they are different. Someone is not better than someone else just because they are good at something. We should accept and value each other's differences and work together to reach our goals. The game Pokémon Go came out in 2016 and is more recent. It showed a lot of new players a version of Pokémon that uses augmented reality. In this version, you can walk around the real world and see and catch Pokémon with your handheld device. Pokémon Go also got a lot of attention and is still played by a lot of people today. As we look to the future, it's clear that the world of Pokémon continues to evolve. With new regions, gameplay mechanics, and Pokémon to discover, the journey is far from over. So there you have it, the evolution of Pokémon, from the early days of Red and Blue to the exciting future that lies ahead. As trainers, we'll continue to explore, catch them all, and embrace the ever-changing world of Pokémon.